Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today you've got the pleasure of watching one of the greatest games of World of Tanks that I have ever seen. This one's actually from a year and a half ago. It's because I went down the rabbit hole recently. Somebody uploaded a fantastic game in the Badger, and now that I'm using the What Record website, as What Replays is no longer being updated, I discovered so many awesome games, especially in the Badger. And spoilers, somebody uploaded a game with, I'm not going to say exactly how much damage it is, but it was exceedingly high, and I just presumed it was going to be the most damage anyone had ever done in the Badger. And so I went down this Badger set. Oh god, that's terrible. I gotta continue, I'm not redoing this. And I managed to find a game from midway through 2023 from our hero today, whose name is Soksk? Or is it Sok? SK? Either or. Sok is going to have one of the most godlike games of World of Tanks I have ever seen. It's just absolutely incredible all the way throughout. So sit back and relax and bask in Badger glory. So the Badger, this is one of two, or should I say three, top-tier British tank destroyers. It has the highest damage per minute in the game, at least at this stage in 2023. Later, the next year, in 2024, the Soksk would come and actually take the crown, but only take that crown up until about like 60 or 70 meters, where the damage of the Soksk drops off, and then the Badger retakes the crown as the highest damage per minute tank. This vehicle has tremendous upper armor as well. The only things that can really contest a Badger when it's in a hold down position like this, or either you having very decent pen like 350 heat and getting lucky and shooting all of the flat parts here, or alternatively if you have a really big tier 10 tank destroyer gun, you know, like a Hori, Jagdpanzer, T123, T124. To be fair, all of the non-bad tier 10 tank destroyer gold pen, like a Grilla, bad heat pen on the Grilla within that regard, then you can contest the Badger's armor. But apart from that, this thing's just an absolute monster. It's also got a wide gun arc, unlike the Soksk. It can go 20 degrees, I believe, to the left, and 15 degrees, sorry, to the left, and 15 degrees to the right, which is 3 times as much as the Soksk, which is by far the most frustrating thing about the tank. So while the Soksk can sometimes have these amazing moments where the 800 alpha damage just trumps the 480 that you get on the Badger, purely because of that flexibility, and also from what feels like a little bit more reliable armor on the Badger, I would far rather play the Badger, unless it's for rushing into position in the Soksk and kind of being that assault tank and nothing can be able to escape from you. But yeah, that horrible gun depression compared to the Badger of 7 versus 10 degrees and that horrible gun arc just means that this thing is so much more flexible. It really is. The Badger's just absolutely god tier compared to the Soksk. It's almost as if it's got a turret compared to the Soksk. And so the Badger is just this tremendous, I don't give a monkey's tank. And Soksk is also not giving a monkey's with regards to their hit points. They're not using a durability device on their Badger. They are going gun rammer, vent, turbo. Full speed, full firepower, making this tank do what it does. And those are that was how I 3-marked the Badger, and I think I end up with a very good mid-60s win ratio on this tank solo with that setup. Although I do actually sometimes on a map like this drop the turbo to use the durability device because you just don't really want to get your tracks locked down. But with the right field mod and a premium consumable that we can see Soksk using here, then you don't really have to worry so much about your track repair time unless you're dealing with autoloaders, and that can be frustrating, you know, them taking the tracks off. Not so much just all the time, they'd still do it all the time to a vehicle that had the durability device. But if the durability device repairs and you get that full health back on your tracks, and that's what can really help you out. So Soksk is just showing great marksmanship throughout this game, targeting the weak point on the Chieftain, which is another tremendous hull down vehicle. And it looks like the enemy team were just thinking, we can advance, we can go after them, right? And this Badger is just absolutely chewing them up left, right, and center. Soksk trying to find the weak point on top of their Chieftain, but I commended their good marksmanship, but I think that was one of those hopeful shots that a lot of us have, right? But that one wasn't, right? So you miss all the shots that you don't take. But I find myself in that situation so much. You're so focused on that weak point, that you can fire when the guy's round the corner by about half a second because you see the opportunity disappearing from you and you want to take it anyway. And it's in a vehicle like this, we've got that great rate of fire. It's not the end of the world. But in a vehicle which has a long reload, yeah, it can make the difference between you winning and losing a game with poor marksmanship like that. So, Soksk now locks down the Progetto 66, but actually the shell goes low, so all it does is track him. But really, against a Badger, it's kind of a death sentence. If you don't have a repair kit, this is what the Badger will do to you. The AMX M454 kind of pushes up there. Soksk trying to make sure that he's trying to secure this position. I have to admit, I'm wondering if that's him just making sure that the AMX M4 doesn't put his gun in the way, or if that's him getting angry about the AMX M4 trying to push him out sideways and stop him from catching that. Soksk, with the good gun arc on the Badger, could easily be able to share that position, as we saw earlier on in the game when I believe it was a Chieftain who was up alongside him. But if you're in a Buit-Skavitzer in that scenario, yeah, there's no sharing, really. You'd have to, with only the 5 degrees to the left and the right, you'd have to overturn the tank and make it very awkward. So now Soksk is going to do something which really just completely transforms this game. They're going to push an Object 7772 down. And they clearly aren't wanting to just try and get past this, otherwise they would have gone to the left or the right of it. They're going to push the 277 down and then hide all of that weakness of the lower plate of the Badger. But then they're going to continue to do this. And clearly, I don't think they're trying to push the 277 to the side, otherwise they'd probably wedge their tracks in and push away from the wall. And I don't think they're actually trying to get through this position. I genuinely think what Soksk was doing in this scenario was probably initially using the 777 as a hold down opportunity, but now has created a blockade at the back that allows them to turn around and find themselves in a 2 versus 6 scenario after finishing off the another 7772. There seems to be so many of them in the game at this stage. I believe in 2023 that was when the 7772 was the new tank that was inside the Battle Pass token store, right? So Soksk is trying to get the TNH to fall back because, you know, a 2 versus 6 feels a lot easier than a 1 versus 6, right? But the TNH is just in an awkward scenario where there's a Badger, a very healthy Badger that was full health until Soksk managed to put their first round into them. They're going to need to put a lot more. And ladies and gents, it begins. This 1 versus 6 for the Badger. Soksk is already on 8,790 damage, and he's got a whole funnel of opponents behind him. And this blessed play of pushing this 7772 to create this like little blockade of graveyard. Let's see if it's going to pay off with dividends here. This isn't just one of those normal 1 versus 6s that you see where everyone's low on health. The Badger was on full health. The Batchat was on near full health as well, but they're definitely not healthy anymore after Soksk takes 553 damage off them. This is what people just don't realize. And it looks like the Batchat on the enemy team gets angry at the Badger for not pushing and helping them and decides to shoot their own Badger. But it would be a lot better if the Badger on the enemy team was not the focus of the Batchat's ire in this scenario. And instead, the Batchat was focused on dealing with the Badger on the enemy team, right? So with the Badger obviously tilted out there by the Batchat, the Batchat is now nowhere to be seen to try and help them out, maybe thinking that they could go round and go behind, just like the TVP, the autoloader behind, and Soksk manages to get rid of the full health Badger on the enemy team, but has to sacrifice 2 sets of hit points, nearly 1,000 damage dealt there from the gold rounds on the Badger. Alright, so this is just ridiculous, man. We've got a TVP trying to make their way in through this graveyard behind. Soksk is seeing all of the angles. And can you imagine how tricky it is to not only fight this 1 versus 6? Oh, that Badger probably thought that the Soksk was still shooting the TVP. They've also got artillery focusing on them, and they've got a repair kit cooldown for the next 9 seconds as well, and no opportunity to use the med kit to get their gun back in the game quickly. That TVP's trying their very best to be able to make their way in here, but he's also got to worry, what if Soksk just comes after you? Yeah, you probably didn't expect that, right? It's just an amazing position that Soksk has created themselves here, because the TVP thought, I can just make my way through this, and now the Kampfpanzer is trying to come after him as well. This is literally a Badger set right now, correct? They've made themselves this hole in the ground, which a Badger set would be. And it's just absolutely schooling the enemy. Can you believe it? Soksk is up to 11,600 damage. And I just noticed, has my sandwich been in the frame the whole time? That's that stream preparation there for you, boys and girls. That's how I can stream like a complete, utter goblin, by having that prep before we get going later today. But oh my word, Soksk, just what a game so far. Can you believe it? 11,600 damage dealt, 6 kills to Sosk's name, and there's still 3 vehicles left on the enemy team. This 1 versus 6 now, halved in numbers. The odds are more even. Is the Kampfpanzer capping? Is the K91 AFK? Uh-oh, K91's not AFK, and luckily they ricochet off Soksk. The Kampfpanzer shoots Soksk, so he's now down to 214 hit points. And this K91, surely they're going to be able to hit the lower plate of the Badger. Who's going to reload first? Well, the K91 bounces, maybe missing the lower plate, hitting towards the outside. And remember, on the Badger, the outside, away from the middle of the lower plate, here and here is actually well armored. You need to hit in the center of the lower plate if you want to deal with this. So Soksk has a little bit of a respite there, calms it down a little bit, to make sure that the Kampfpanzer and the artillery don't know the direction that they're going to be approaching their cap circle. And you think that the enemies would have just capped, right? They were so overconfident in that 1 versus 6 that they did what they should have done, got somebody in the cap circle far too late. But is Soksk too late to be able to get back to the cap circle? Well, we're just going to have to see. 18 seconds, 17, 16, come on. Where is it? Where's that Kampfpanzer? It's got to be a Kampfpanzer. Oh god, no, not like this. 10, 9, 8. Are they going to have to shoot a blind shot? Where's the blind shot going to be? Somebody fires. Looks like the Kampfpanzer actually fired early, and Soksk clutch shots them for 500. The Kampfpanzer's going to come back up to try and find a shell, but they did not expect the Badger, possibly with not quite adrenaline rush, as they had just a few too many hit points to be able to reload that quickly, shut them down, secure a Radley Walters medal, and now with the artillery hitting Soksk, they know their last location. All right, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left on this game. Soksk has to get into the cap circle quickly because the object 212A on the enemy team is going to be faster than them. So the goal right now is get in that cap circle 10 seconds before the 212A can get into Sosk's cap circle. Because I believe it's actually 5 seconds should be enough. That is the time duration that you need to still be able to win the game. More than 5 seconds before it will actually end up in a draw, with that 5-second grace period to give enough time for the enemy to cap. But we're not going to maybe need that, as Soksk aims, full shot in, HE shell loaded for the lack of the air possible bad RNG, and Soksk just takes down, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a Badger game for the ages. This was the world record of damage dealt in the Badger, much to the dismay of the gentleman who just uploaded a 13,000 damage game, which actually sent me down this rabbit hole, Badger set, whatever you want to call it, to try and find arguably one of the greatest games of World of Tanks I have ever seen. This was a world record of damage dealt in the Badger, and it wasn't just somebody pumping out damage from start to finish. It was somebody pumping out damage from start to finish, but also using amazing tactics to be able to get through an incredibly hard 1 versus 6 against many full health tanks. So Soksk, congratulations to you on one of the greatest games of World of Tanks that I've ever seen. And I think definitely the best Badger game in the history of World of Tanks. This was a Radley Walters medal for those 9 kills, the Kolobanov's medal for standing alone against at least 5, in this case 6, a cool-headed medal for ricocheting 10 shells in a row at high tier, and that's before the Czech light tanks made that a lot easier. A high caliber, the mother of all high calibers, for 13,241 damage dealt, over 6 times what anyone else on their team was able to achieve, and a steel wall medal for blocking 5,000 damage. And this was 1,832 base experience, pretty much at least 50% more than you would need to get your ace tanker on a Badger. So I went looking to see if Soksk had any other great content. It looks like they do have a Twitch channel, but unfortunately they haven't streamed in a year. So Soksk, if you watch this, get streaming again. You're obviously a god tier player, and I think a lot of us could learn something. And the only video I could find on their channel was them getting very lucky in a 60 TP inside Onslaught, and maybe this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah, how about that? Losing 3,092 hit points in a 60 TP in Onslaught in a second. But Soksk, congratulations to you. God tier game from a god tier player. Thank you so much for uploading your replay on the What Record website for the community to enjoy. And I'd just like to announce What Record has updated, so you can upload new British heavy tank gameplay to it. So if you've had some incredible games in the new British doubles, upload them on quickybaby.what-record.com for a chance to be featured on the channel. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was the greatest game I've ever seen in a badge. I really hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby trying to get the new British double heavy tanks, as well as also getting new drops to share with the community. So come and get yourself a style in a single stream and some premium consumables. As Wargaming set me a challenge today as part of like the Rambo collaboration. So I'm going to have to see how hard it is. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.